Alright, so here we have a Weber Sailfin dragon. These guys come from Southeast Asia. Full size, they're going to get about 2 feet. They're a very, very active lizard. Something that's going to need a pretty good sized cage when they're fully grown. Good sized cage to set them up with this size would be something like these 4-foot cages here. It's something that's going to give them a lot of room to cruise around. They're going to be climbing the trees a lot, going to be up high. Not too often you're going to see them down low on the ground other than when they're feeding on crickets. These guys are insectivores. They're going to be eating a lot of bugs, crickets, mealworms, roaches, things like that. All feeders that we offer on our website. Other than that, good bedding. When you are feeding these guys, you want to make sure you're dusting their food with a calcium supplement. When they're being housed indoors, you want to use one with vitamin D3. We have all of those here in the shop and online. And sometimes with these guys, when you're not using a calcium supplement, it can lead to metabolic bone issues. As you can see in her arms are a little bent, so when she was being raised up, someone wasn't supplementing her diet properly. This can be prevented though with proper UVB lighting and a calcium supplement in their diet. As long as you're getting it on a regular basis, they're going to turn out perfectly fine.
This one here, while her arms are a little bit bent now, the metabolic bone disease is no longer going to be an issue. However, she is going to be permanently deformed like that due to her nutritional deficiencies when she was younger. We wouldn't recommend breeding an animal like this, a female like this that has that kind of bone issue, but she's going to make an awesome pet. As you can see, she's mellowed out, she's doing fine with handling, she's got gorgeous coloration, so something like that would be a great pet. However, if you want to raise up juveniles and attempt to breed them or have an exceptional perfect animal, you definitely want to make sure you're using your vitamins that have vitamin D3 in them, as well as a proper UVB light.
So being coupled with their proper diet with vitamin supplementation, these guys are also going to need a mercury vapor bulb with UVB or a fluorescent UVB light. Both are going to help combat that metabolic bone disease and also get them the proper amount of calcium into their system. They are a high output UVB light, so it's close to saying you can get the natural sunlight in captivity. A really good bulb for them. And when you are setting up the cage with these guys, you want to make sure you are giving them nighttime heat as well. They do come from Indonesia, so they like it pretty warm. There's a variety of different types of nighttime bulbs you can use for them. All of them, even though they are ballasted in different colors, they all pretty much have the same function. It's a low, light color that's not going to upset the animal at nighttime, not going to disturb them. They're not going to be kept awake by it. You just want to make sure you're keeping them fairly warm throughout the nighttime hours because these guys do like it pretty toasty 24/7.
What kind of temperature would you recommend as a nighttime high?
Nighttime, I wouldn't let it get below 82 degrees. These guys come from a pretty warm area where it's hot and wet all the time.
Cool.
So one way to make sure your cages are staying warm enough at night are using these thermometers that are going to be sticking inside their enclosures. These work great for monitoring in one single spot. If you do have either multiple cages or you're trying to figure out the temperatures at different spots inside the cage, ZooMed actually makes what's called a temp gun. It's the Reptile temperature thermometer. These guys, all you have to do is point and shoot. It's going to basically take a temperature readout from wherever you're pointing. They're very accurate. They work great for multiple cages, finding out hot spots, basking areas, even on the cool sides, how cold it's getting, things like that. Really good product for you taking the readouts from multiple areas. When you're setting up the cage for these, there's many different types of bedding you can use. Any of the beddings that are going to be for tropical animals will work. One of the best ones we like using here in stores is going to be Cypress Mulch. We do carry that here. Another great one is the ZooMed Eco. Both are going to hold a lot of moisture for them. Like we were saying before, these guys come from Indonesia, so they like it very wet, very humid at all times of the day. And these beddings will help soak up a lot of that moisture, keep the cage nice and damp. One other thing you can actually put inside the cage are these Exoterra feeding rocks. Gives the animal a little bit of enrichment, gives them something to do. The crickets are going to be coming out at random times, give them some food to chase around. It's a little more natural for them too, rather than seeing someone dump in a big pile of crickets one time during the day. This is going to slowly let out a small amount of crickets throughout the day over the multiple hours. So it's a really good product to get your animal moving, do a little something different, mix up their routine, keep the feedings a little more interesting for them. So a product that a lot of people like setting these up with are these ZooMed cork rounds. They work great for pieces of wood for the animal to climb on inside of the cage. Cool thing about these too, they actually almost double as a hide too. You can see they're hollow on the inside. It's something the animal could go in, if they want to get away from all the activity outside of the cage. So a good wood product to put inside the cage, they do hold up really well with the moisture and stuff inside there too. If you wanted to set up some pieces of grapewood in there too, we have all the different types of sandblasted grapewood. Also another type of wood that's going to hold up really, really well with a lot of humidity. Very easy to clean off too because they are sandblasted. You're not going to have any of that feces sticking to bark. And these are ready to go. You don't have to bake them, you don't have to wash them, basically you just buy them. They're ready to set up in the cage from the get-go. Really good wood product to use. You know, a lot of people like using them for things like this. Another thing you can use while you're setting up these guys' cage is the actual hydrotherm that we were speaking about earlier from ZoomEd. If you're using misting applications like the ReptiRain or the Monsoon, you can hook both of those up there. That'll help control your humidity and your temperature as well with the hydrotherm here. It does have that night drop that we were speaking about, so you can have it drop down to those lower temperatures for nighttime if you want it running a little bit cooler. It doesn't work only good for these. For just about any animal out there, it can benefit from it. Really good product to use if you are setting up misting systems with your temperature controllers.
Makes it a lot easier because that way you can set it and forget it, and you can go to work and not worry if your Sailfin is going to be too dry or too cold. The hydrotherm will take care of it for you.
So one good way to set these guys up outside, give them a lot of space, you know, when they're not in their indoor enclosure, are these reptariums. For the price, you really can't beat them. The biggest one that they make is roughly 6 feet long by 30 inches by 30 inches. So something you can put on end or even turn up straight up and down vertically. It's going to be a really cost-effective solution to give these guys a big enclosure for, you know, sunning them outside and getting them the natural UV rays, which is really good for them. Really good product for the price, can't beat it. Easy to clean, all you have to do is close them off. They're made of a nylon mesh, and they're really easy to put together too.
Cool. Okay.
By nature, these guys can sometimes be a little bit shy, especially when you're setting up babies. A good way to help them settle in and be a little more comfortable inside their enclosure is to do a lot of foliage. You're going to want a lot of plants in there, whether they be live or fake. We like the fake plants here just because you can't clean them off really easily, reuse them. They hold up for a very long time. And you don't have to worry about the animal trampling them and ruining them. They do make multiple vines. There's different types by different companies. There's some by Exoterra, some by Penflax. They all work really well. They're all flexible vines that you can bend to the shape of the cage or whatever you desire. And you want to make sure you know the animal's feeling really comfortable in there. An animal that you're not seeing a whole lot that's going to be hidden inside there is going to be a very happy animal. These guys, you know, especially when they're babies, you're not going to see them a whole lot. They're going to be hiding out. They're going to be bouncing around through the leaves. Something you want to make sure to do is, you know, have plenty of cover for them so they do feel nice and safe.
We now carry a wide range of ZoomEd and Exoterra plants, so there's no reason not to get your Sailfin a ton of really affordable foliage to provide visual barriers between you and the lizard. And it makes for a very happy, comfortable, confident Sailfin.
When you're feeding insects with these guys, a lot of times they're going to go after mealworms. A big problem that people have when they are feeding these worms off is them getting out of the dishes. There are a couple different manufacturers that do make worm dishes that are going to prevent that from happening. They do have a little lip on the inside to make sure those worms are going to stay in, not get out. That way your animal can get in too without, you know, the worms getting all over the cage, getting under the bedding, and eventually turning into beetles. There are the little more decorative ones here, the ones made by Exoterra, the worm dish. And there's also the little more inexpensive route. It doesn't look quite as natural, but they make these disposable ones as well. As you can see, our lizard totally loves it. She's totally jamming out on these things. You can find both of them out on our website at www.LLLReptile.com. Really good product to use when you're feeding off those worms and any other live feeders that aren't going to be crawling around the cage. So with these Sailfins, like we were saying before, they do come from Southeast Asia, particularly Indonesia. They do require a really big water bowl. It's an animal, you want to give them something that they can soak in pretty much all the time. PetTech makes these really big bowls here, the constrictor bowls. They work great for them, especially for adults. You can fill them up, they can fit their whole body inside of. There also are a few other smaller sizes here too that will work well for juveniles, all the way up through your subadults. They're also fairly inexpensive, and they all have the basic same function, just really depends on what you prefer. The animal's usually not too picky, as long as they can fit inside, feel comfortable, and get a fresh drink of water out of them. Also, will be found on the website at LLLReptile.com.
And there you have it. That is how you set up a Sailfin dragon with our really awesome subadult female here, providing the model. If you're interested in ordering everything, make sure you visit the website and check it out.